How's it going, guys? Junior here with A Mustangs. Also got Alex here. Today we're going to be working on the Honda Civic again, and what we're going to be doing this time is some spark plugs. So if you guys have an 05 to a 2012 Honda Civic, I believe it's an 8th gen with the 1.8 liter, this is how to do the spark plugs on these. Stay tuned.
Music bed.
Okay, to get started, we're gonna be needing your spark plugs. So, get some good. We got here is NGK Iridium spark plugs. These should be already pre-gapped. That's the way they have the sleeve to protect it. You're gonna need a socket. So this is a 5/8 inch spark plug socket. Make sure you use the spark plug socket that has the little bushing in there, and that way, if it's on your spark plug, it doesn't wobble. Because if you use a normal one, you might crack the ceramic. This one is magnetic, so it holds the plug pretty nice, but there's some that have rubber in there, whichever one you want to use. The other thing I'm gonna use is this extension, just because the plugs go in there, just a little bit with the 3/8 ratchet. Or you can use, one of these that has the spark plug socket already in there with the handle, but if they're tight, you might not be able to get them loose with this one. And we also need a 10mm socket to get the coils off here on top. So 10mm, you don't need the extension, but you can also have a 10mm with the 3/8 ratchet. Get yourself some towels or anything just to clean stuff on the way, and gloves if you don't want to get your hands full of grease. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay, to get started, so here are your spark plugs. Well, these are your coil unplugged. So we're gonna take off the coils. Spark plugs are under here. So first thing you gotta do is disconnect this plug over here. If your engine is hot, this is gonna be a little painful, so keep that in mind. If you let it sit for a while, it won't be. So you just wanna push the little tab and then pull the plug back. Just be careful. Sometimes it depends with the age, these get brittle, and then when you push them, they crack, they break. So just be careful. Pull them back. Now you can take this little cover off if you want, but this move out of the way, good enough. So now I'm gonna get the 10mm and get these off. And these are quite a bit tight. They don't have to be that tight, but. And I'm just gonna, make sure not to lose these screws. I'm gonna put them up there. If you have a little magnetic tray, you can do that too. I have one, but it's somewhere back there, so. Alright. Now if you're working outside, be careful if you're going to pull all the spark plugs out and have it open. Make sure nothing falls in there or anything like that, but make sure if you're doing one at a time, or you take everything off of one and then you got to take this little nut off, don't drop it in there, because then you have to pull that out. And these should just come right out. You pull them out, and this is the coil here. Now one thing that you can do is also change the boots on these. You should be able to get like this little seal up here. You can get a kit, and I think this bottom part comes off. I'm not going to take it off because we're not changing that, but that's one thing that you can also change. If it has a lot of miles, you might want to change the boot down here and then this seal. That way water can get in that tube. Also, sometimes if you get a misfire, it can be your boot that's worn out, and so it's arcing to the metal on the side instead of going down to the plug. So keep that in mind. I do like to keep them in the same spot I take them off of, so I'm just gonna kind of put them, relevant there where they're coming off of, and you can tell, like this one it's nice and like blue, This one has a little bit of kind of discoloration here, so I don't know if it's just older or maybe some, you know, moisture is getting down this first one here. So this one looks pretty good too. And here's the last one. So they all look pretty good overall. This engine does have some oil seeping, looks like from the valve cover, so there's oil around here. You can pressure wash it before, just, you know, be careful where you're spraying. The alternator's right up here, so be careful not to directly spray with the pressure washer, but you can clean this, or once we put the coils back on there, I would just get some brake cleaner and kind of clean some of this off as well. Now that we have the coils off, then we can get our spark plug socket. So I'm gonna try this one, just see. Oh, this were not tight at all. Let's see, this one's tighter. Yep. So see, this one I can get with this key handle. None of them. Maybe that's why this coil has a little bit of this brown color, because that spark plug was really loose. It might have been letting some of the gases out a little bit. All that BTEC power. All right, let's see. Oh, jeez. Damn, that is really tight. Cheer bar time. Your plug shouldn't be that tight. I mean, I think this probably the spec on these is like maybe like 12 to 15 foot-pounds. Most of the time, once they seat, you just do a quarter turn on these because they have the little metal gasket on the bottom. So those are really tight compared to that first one. I barely turned it with one hand. So. Or maybe someone switched this first one because there was a problem before and just didn't tighten it. So here's the plug. You know, it's got some of the white coloration, but that's normal. Just with age, it's the same plug that we're putting in. See, NG case. I mean, it might be a factory plug on here, I'm not sure. But just pull them out. There's that second one. Same thing, you know, just shows some age. You can tell it doesn't have the weird coloration up here like the other one, so. Do not use an impact to put these on. I wouldn't recommend it anyways, but there's that next one here. And the fourth one. Overall, they don't look too bad, but there we go. So I put them in order where they came out. Like you know, I told you guys this first one has the weird coloration there, so it could have been because it was a little bit loose. It is the same plug though, so it could have just been that it was just not tying last time they were done or anything like that. So we're ready to put the new ones on.
Alright guys, so one last tip before putting on those new spark plugs. Make sure you put anti-seize on them. That way your threads don't seize up on there because there's so many heat cycles on that engine. And also you want to do dielectric grease where the coil meets the plug. And I would probably put a little bit tad where the coil pigtail hooks up to the coil, I guess you can say. So those are the two things I would buy. If you go to an auto parts store or whatever, they even have the little tiny packets. That way you can put the anti-seize or dielectric grease. You don't have to buy a big old tube like this. So that's one tip to do it. And then we'll just grab these new bad boys and then we'll start same order that we took them off.
Alright, so I'm just going to put the anti-seize just a little bit in there.
Dielectric grease.
Dielectric grease, yes. this just pretty much protects the moisture, if it does get in there, from going inside of there, causing the it to arc to a different spot. It also keeps the boot from sticking to the spark plug. Now on spark plug wires, this is more important because a lot of times you go to pull them and the boot rips, or it's just tied in there. You can't pull the plug off. This one, I mean, it's not that important, but you should put some on there. Same on here. I like to put some on the connectors, just that way water doesn't get in there. Just a little bit. Keeps the connection clean. And then we already put a little bit of anti-seize on here, so you can just rub a little bit. Once you start threading it, that's just gonna get on the threads. And that's just gonna make it easier for the next guy that changes these plugs. They're not seized in there, so get in there. Be careful, don't let your socket drop. That way your contact doesn't change or anything like that. So you shouldn't have to force it to start threading it, so it should thread pretty easy. I'm just gonna tighten them lightly with this one, and then I'll go back with the ratchet and just do like a little bit more of a tightening on them. If you want to get really technical, look up the torque specs, get you a torque wrench, and do it that way as well. Pretty simple job, just because the plugs are right up here, so. We might do a video on changing this gasket maybe in the future, but we'll see. Okay, now I'm just gonna tighten these up just a little bit. I'm not gonna get my cheater bar and tighten them up, so just really, they were hand tightened with one hand. I'm just gonna give it like an 1/8 of a turn here. Remember, this is aluminum head, so you don't wanna really tighten it so much. Just kind of by feel. You want it to be tight, but not. You want it to squeeze that metal washer. These are a little bit higher when they're new, but you want it to squeeze it a little bit, but really you don't want to strip the thread. So like this one, I went a little bit more than an 1/8, but pretty good feel just with one hand here. Make sure they're tight. Cool. So once you're done here, I already put that dielectric grease on here, like I said before, so I'm just gonna stick them back in there. And then put this little nuts on there so they're tight. And I just drop one. So don't do what I did. If you do, get yourself a magnet. Good thing it was just right there. So now if it would have been the 10mm socket, I would have probably not found it. But since it's a nut, it's okay. Okay. Now same thing with these, they have to be, snug, but not overly snug, so there's no reason why these coils would be pushing out at all. So tighten them up, and then go ahead and plug these back in, and you're gonna hear a click on each one. And there you have it. That's how you change your spark plugs on the Honda, I think 04 or 05 to 2012. Now we're just gonna start it up, make sure it's idling good, take her for a little ride, and you're good to go. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next one.